All right, welcome back to the SuperCoach Enough channel. In today's video, we're going to review the team after round 8 of the NRL season for 2023. And as you can see there, ended up with a score of 1100 on the dot, which was actually good enough for a green arrow this week. I don't know if that's more of speaking to my overall rank or just the strength of the score, maybe a bit of both. As you can see, did only win one league out of 3. Yeah, as you see, once we get into the team, a little mistake that seemed to make quite a lot of recently has cost me one of those league wins. So a bit flat on that. But we'll have a look at the team. Tough luck, no worries, mate. Excuse me. So as you can see, Harry Grant turning up. So I did watch the game, and I didn't think he was there with that sort of score, but obviously he was. Let's have a look at the stats. Oh, got over for a try. I don't even remember. That's pretty poor. Try and an assist. A few tackle breaks there. So I did see he was making a few runs. Yeah, line break assist as well. 10 runs. So compared to the last couple of weeks, that's a nice little improvement. Yeah, and that's why we have Harry Grant. He does have that ability to go big, and you've got to have him in the side, I think. Sonny Luke, 23. So I think the Sonny Luke, it's one of those things they're trying to blood him slowly, um, but it doesn't look like he's got the faith of clearing those big games. So obviously against South, tough opposition in good form. They sort of, I guess, probably didn't use him as much as you'd ideally like. Yeah, 32 minutes. I guess that's sort of where he's middling out to. But does have a favourable matchup this week against the Tigers, so I can see them definitely trying to utilise him against a team that hasn't won a game yet this season. He could go well. Payne Haas 63, so not too bad from Payne, but he is out for a week due to getting suspended. Excuse me. For 1 week, so not a trade, just cop it. And I think you're joining about 50% of the competition, so there's no stress in having him on the bench. Tohu Harris is a slightly different one, so only a 36. Don't know how long he'll be out with that knee injury. Obviously, the short turnaround meant he was essentially no chance of playing this week. But if the reports sort of show that he is a bit of a longer term, I think he is a trade out. One of the main purposes of holding him was for the round 13 bye. And obviously as well, the consistency of playing through Origin, not being a Queensland or New South Wales rep, but yeah, I think there's other options that we can jump to if need be. Joe Tarpany didn't play last week because of the bye, but as you can see, one of the good things about the late finish to the round, and teams actually got named earlier today. I didn't expect that to happen so quickly. So we can already sort of see who's available this weekend. Stefano, 33, that's the sort of role we've got him as, is that last sort of front row option, which we probably have to utilise this week. Unless, of course, there's a trade option for Tohu. Dave Fafita, 84. So I don't think I was expecting this level of consistency from him, but glad I got on him. He's playing well. Cam Murray with the 46. That's a bit disappointing, but he's a gun. Might be one worth considering trading and chopping and changing a bit, given he's a lock for the Origin side. But probably going to try to hold off a couple of weeks before we start targeting the buy, and we'll have that conversation, I think, once we get there. Jacob Preston, 56, just solid base from the man. Yeah, he's for someone we got in for bottom dollar. It's amazing how well he's done for us. Jackson Ford, so 67, got over for a nice try. He's still making us some good coin, so going to try to ride that wave, I think, as long as we can before cashing out. Jack Johns is obviously turned into a bit of a dead bench option. Josh Schuster, so he's re-injured his quad. Um, but as a cheap option, I think we'll keep hanging on to him for as long as we can. So the slight error was I talked it up all week. Nico Hines captain against the Dogs, um, and somehow I forgot to switch it, so I copped Cleary's 60 instead of Hines' 97 captaincy score. So it's cost me 37 points, which I think would have been enough to get me the win in the big cash league. So I was a bit filthy on that. But might be okay this week because of the fact that I'm probably not going to do a preview just because of the short turnaround. So I won't be playing around with undoing all my changes and that sort of thing. So, but in saying that, I think it's pretty obvious. Clear against the Tigers is a big shout for captaincy anyway this week. Dylan Brown, 67. Yep, doing well. Probably, still a bit behind Munster and Walker, but we got him for his awesome bye coverage, so we'll cop that. Katoa, 47. So didn't see the game. I watched the highlights because of the amazing comeback in that sort of big sort of shimmy, stop, start, run. Uh, Probably would have had a try contribution at least, I think, out of that for Robert Jennings' second one there in the corner. But yeah, he's really starting to look like he fits in at the grade. And I don't think it's going to be that long before he, finds his way over the stripe himself, that sort of thing, and really, kicks up in price. So into the back line, so Marzu, 67, he's going well. Um, I guess we'll talk about trades in a minute, but I think I'm going to keep him for the time being. Ruben Garrick, 44, so a little bit, disappointing. Could potentially get a bit of a run at fullback though, so happy to have him in the team. Joey Manu with a 90, so I only caught highlights, bits and pieces of this game. Was out having a few celebratory ales yesterday with a couple of mates, so saw the big screen in behind them. Did see Joey Manu crash over for a try and got very pumped up about that. Yeah, so great call to bring him in the side. Nickel Clockstad, 77, but is out again with a concussion, I believe. Um, so it's not ideal, but we'll hold him. He is doing the job that we expected him to. Tyrell Sloan, so back to back scores. Tylers are in action next door. Apologies if there's too much background noise. I hope it won't take too long. um, Might just stop. All right, we're back. So there might still be some noise. I did try to close the doors and that as best I could. But as I was saying, Tyrell Sloan, so back to back, he's actually gone all right with a 90 this week. So massively negative break even. Playing the Dogs, as much as I hate to say it, could be another big game for Tyrell. So glad we held on to him. We knew that he was going to have these spike games, and I think just happy he's put a couple together. Bulldogs and the Tigers coming up. Cowboys haven't been overly convincing either, so it could be a good one to flip just before the buys if he's not playing. I think the Dragons actually are playing, so he might even be one to hold through the first buy from here. Taruva, 45. So if you trade him out, you've probably done okay out of that. Obviously, the option to trade him out as well this week, but playing the Tigers again, sort of in line with Cleary, and Isaac Targo being out, so can be a bit of a ball hog. So could be an opportunity for Taruva to get over the stripe. Pretty sure Tyron Peachy is the one they've put in the centre, so another famous ball hog. But yeah, hopefully it could work out for Taruva. Alamotti, 26. So, I guess he's sort of somewhat bottomed out in price, I think. But with the trade out option sort of being a slightly above bottom dollar at the moment, probably not worth a trade. I think he's one I've just got to hold. And, hope he and the Dogs go on a bit of a run. Tom Trbojevic, 37, so went off with a groin complaint. Is named to play this week, although there's all the talk about fitness tests and that sort of thing. So might be a possible trade there if there is an injury and he's not playing. And Buller with a 38, so that's pretty solid on debut. We did bring him in, being the bottom dollar option that was playing. As it turned out, Jarrell Skelton was 18th man, um, so it was probably the right call to bring Buller in. Um, and probably appears as though he's got the job for the time being. Dane Laurie sort of dropped down into the reserve list. Charlie Staines is on the wing, and I think they're happy with him there. So, uh, yeah, not the worst shout to get him in. So in terms of trades this week, as I said, I'm probably leaning towards not doing any. The plan was originally Marzu to flip to Miller, but they're both on the same team. They're both priced about the same, scoring about the same. So I think it's maybe more of a case of waiting a bit longer and maybe flipping Taruva with someone else if we swing it that way. Or the other option is perhaps if Turbo's out, we could slot Miller in there for the time being. But if we don't make any trades, obviously we've got to adjust the side a bit. So Harry Grant's on a bye, which means Sonny Luke will be in the starting team. Haas and Harris both out. So Tarpany and Uda Ikamanu in. Schuster's out, so we need to get him off the reserves. Hines and Cleary are fine, and as I said, Captain Cleary against the Tigers is a pretty sound option, I believe. Clockstead out, so we'll back Sloan in against the Bulldogs, and obviously Taruva as well against the Tigers. So then we just have to make a decision between Katoa, Alamoti, and Buller for our final spot. The Dolphins play the Raiders. So, they haven't been the hottest side in the competition this season. Alamoti obviously against the Dragons. You could, throw them in a similar conversation as the Raiders. And Buller against Penrith. I think, he's the obvious one that's not going to be included. In saying that, he might have to come in if Turbo's out. But, again, depending on the synopsis, we might have to find some options there for Turbo. But yeah, I'll go Katoa, I think. Just give him a shot, see how he goes. He seems, like I said, steadily improving. Surely that spike game's not too far away. Yeah, when we can adjust, like probably Preston playing in the last game would mean Ford starts. But I guess in terms of if we are going to trade it, like I said, if Harris is out for a while, and we have a look at our options, I know Adam Fanua Blake's pretty popular. Did have a massive workload on the weekend, but could be because of Harris and Tavanga's injuries, and they both play a lot of minutes in the middle rotation. So I wouldn't expect a ton every week out of Adam Fanua Blake, but he does have that upside. Tommy Gilbert or a Max King type, sort of like for like replacement, dual position options. Um, and I guess looking at the way the money works out, I could just swing Max King, who, I've talked about a lot on this channel being a super pod sort of option. Yeah, but if Harris is like a 1 to 2 week proposition, given Max King won't play the round 13 bye, I don't think that this is the smartest trade going around. But in saying that, that is the way I would lean. If you got money to go up to Tino, you could treat yourself, I suppose. And then after that, you've sort of got the guys that don't really have the upside that we want. So I'd actually Ruben Cotter is an interesting one. He made 31k this week, break even 21. So actually, yeah, I wouldn't mind a bit of that action, Ruben Cotter. Interesting. Actually, I'll change. I'll go him over Max King. Just I guess the money's a bit nicer too, so not as much to go to him. Obviously, Tamalolo's out, so there is minutes in that pack, and he's playing in the 13. So yeah, it could be a really good option. Yeah. So again, this is all dependent on Tohu's injury. So yeah, kind of. I guess if you've got him in the second row, and I might have to get rid of a Jack Johns to see the options. Um, so Payne Haas miles out in front, but Britton Nakora, so he looked really good against the Dogs. Obviously, scored an 87. If I had the luxury, I'd love to find a way to get him in the side. And he's one I'm sort of eyeing the switch with Cam Murray. I know that, yeah, Nakora doesn't play round 13, um, but could be a nice little option to sort of, a bit of a point of difference. Still only owned by 3.8%, despite the fact that he's, in terms of second rowers, second overall in points and has had the bye as well. So, Hopgood's got 4 more points but has played an extra game. Um, but yeah, in saying that, Cam Murray's still obviously in the top five there, so it's a bit of a rough call to trade him out. After that, you know, if you're looking a bit, feeling a bit funky, maybe Fitzgibbon. If you haven't got Fafita, obviously target number one, get him in. After that, you know, Katoa's on a bye, so that's not much help. Um, Maybe Olaquatu, a bit of a pod shout against the Titans. Could go okay. Isaiah Yo, if you're looking for just like a bit of solid base, could do worse than Isaiah Yo. Yeah, so those are the options. Frizzell, super pod, less than 1%. But yeah, in terms of the turbo trading options, so if we trade turbo out, we're probably looking around 600. So Latrell, if he can go up, that's nice. I think I've got to wait for him to dip again before I consider him. Reece Walsh, so he's about to dip in price, break even or close to 100. So if you can wait, maybe wait for him to dip. Lachlan Miller, so 84. I think out of the options, even though he is centre wing, he's probably the one I'd look at for my side. Um, and I guess we'll talk about other centre wing options too in a minute. But you can see I'd have to find some money to make that happen. Um, yeah, so I saw Teddy got a try. Where did he end up? 75. So yeah, it looks like his price has basically bottomed out. So you could actually make money off of that trade. Turbo to Teddy. And yeah, who are they playing? They got the Warriors this week, although not the easiest matchup. I guess also if you're worried about Origin, well, there's another trade coming up potentially. Um, so where were we? Will Kennedy, so another sort of pot option. Dylan Edwards is a more expensive pot option. Um, but yeah, Kennedy scoring those 3 tries in the first half against the Dogs, it could have been anything. Still only 99, which suggests that he probably doesn't have the base. There's Paramount. How did he get 79? That's all right. Must have missed something there in the game. Oh, 2 try assists, of course. Yeah, yeah. So got his passing game on, which was nice in the back line. Yeah, so probably wouldn't get on, but good to know. And then after that, Drinkwater. So I know this is another popular option given he's turned up. So break even at 34. Yeah, they play round 13, which is nice for the buys, and round 16, which is very nice. So yeah, I guess if you're looking for an option through Origin, Scott Drinkwater could be a good shout. Jaden Campbell's back on the bench, which is a bit flat for my fantasy team. But that's all right. And then after that, maybe Callum Ponga as a pot option, 3%. Obviously, big chance to play for Queensland, you'd imagine. So take that into account as well when making the trade. It's his break even though, 93. So you could probably wait on that. So yeah, so I guess ideally I'd be plumping for someone like Miller. Could go Teddy if you want to get Tedesco in your side. This would be the time to do it. Um, yeah, otherwise, just take your pick. Drink water if you like it. I think that's fine. But if he's playing, I'm happy to ride the wave because of his abilities. Yeah, so I guess that's sort of the review and the preview all in one. We'll have the stock market video out tomorrow afternoon. It does take a bit of time to collate all the data, that sort of thing. So hoping to have that done in time for tomorrow. So stick around for that. Obviously, all the other review videos will be coming out not long after this one as well. Might try and hold a couple over to overnight just to not bombard everyone with content. But other than that, if you've got any thoughts on the team, like I said, I'm going to try to not make trades. But if you've got any thoughts on obvious ones that I'm missing, let me know. If you are enjoying the content, like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, that is. And other than that, I'll catch you in the next one.